The Martinez family reunion was in full swing at my uncle's mansion, the same place they'd been holding it for 20 years. I adjusted my simple black dress Chanel, though none of them would recognize it, and watched my cousins compete for the title of most successful Martinez. 2 million in sales this quarter, Miguel announced, raising his wine glass. The car dealership is booming. That's cute, Victoria smirked, showing off her diamond-encrusted watch. My real estate company just closed a $20 million deal. I sat quietly at the edge of the gathering, sipping water from a crystal glass and checking my phone. A message from my COO, Forbes interview approved. Cover story runs next week. Sophia. Aunt Carmen's voice cut through my thoughts. Stop being antisocial. Come tell everyone about what do you call it? Your little online shop. I looked up to find 30 pairs of eyes turned toward me, most containing varying degrees of pity or amusement. If they only knew that my little online shop had just been valued at $3 billion. It's a technology company, I said quietly. We develop software solutions. Right, my cousin Diego laughed. The computer thing. Still working from your apartment. Actually, I worked from the top floor of the gleaming tower that dominated the city skyline, the one with my company's name on it. But they didn't need to know that. Not yet. Something like that, I replied, turning back to my phone where another message awaited. Acquisition of Tech Global confirmed. You now own their entire AI division. Well, Uncle Roberto boomed from his position by the expensive marble fireplace. Let's hear about the real successes in the family. Miguel's dealership is expanding to 3 new locations. Applause rippled through the room. I didn't mention that I own the commercial real estate company that had leased Miguel those locations, through a shell corporation of course. And Victoria. Aunt Carmen beamed. Her real estate empire is growing so fast. More applause. I bit back a smile, remembering how my AI algorithms had identified the prime properties Victoria's company had purchased. She thought she was a brilliant market analyst. In reality, she was just following patterns my software had predicted months in advance. Sophia, my mother said, probably feeling obligated to include me, why don't you tell everyone about your business? Surely there must be some news. Before I could answer, my cousin Anna cut in. Oh, leave her alone. Not everyone can run a real business. At least she's trying, right? I checked my phone again. Another message. CNBC wants to interview you about the Tech Global acquisition. Also, Time magazine called about their 40 under 40-foot feature. Actually, I started but was interrupted by Diego again. Hey, remember when Sophia said she was going to revolutionize the tech industry? He grinned. What happened to that big dream, Prima? What happened was that I'd spent the last 5 years building Nova Technologies into the most innovative AI company in the world. What happened was that my little online shop had developed algorithms that were reshaping entire industries. What happened was that I was about to become the youngest self-made billionaire in the country. But they didn't know any of that. To them, I was still little Sophia, the cousin who'd turned down a real job at Uncle Roberto's manufacturing company to start her own business. The family disappointment who worked with computers instead of joining the traditional family enterprises. I remember, Victoria chimed in. You turned down that management position at Uncle's company. Could have been making 6 figures by now. I suppressed a laugh. I made more than that in interest every hour. Speaking of real jobs, Uncle Roberto said, swirling his expensive scotch. My offer still stands, Sophia. We could use someone in our IT department. Better than struggling with your little startup. My little startup had just acquired his biggest competitor, though he wouldn't know that until the press release next week. Thank you, Uncle, but I'm happy with my company. What company? Diego scoffed. A website and a laptop isn't a company, Sophia. You need real assets, real employees, real success. Just then my assistant Claire walked into the room. I'd stationed her at a cafe nearby, waiting for exactly the right moment. She carried a leather portfolio and wore the kind of subtle designer outfit that screamed serious business to those who knew what to look for. Ms. Martinez, she said professionally, though I caught the glint of anticipation in her eyes. I apologize for interrupting, but there are some urgent matters that need your attention. The room fell quiet, everyone watching this unexpected intrusion into their familiar dynamics. Of course, Claire, I said, standing up. What do we have? She opened the portfolio. The acquisition paperwork is ready for your signature. Also, the new AI platform launch is trending worldwide, and the stock has jumped 15% since market open. Miguel nearly choked on his wine. Stock? Your little computer shop has stock. Claire turned to him, her expression perfectly neutral. Nova Technologies went public last year in the largest tech IPO of the decade. Nova Technologies? Victoria's voice rose an octave. The Nova Technologies that's all over the business news? I smiled slightly. The same. But that's impossible, Uncle Roberto sputtered. Nova is worth billions. It's revolutionizing artificial intelligence. It's Pie Company, I finished for him. That little startup you've been mocking? It just acquired Tech Global for $12 billion. The silence that followed was deafening. Claire, right on cue, pulled out a magazine from her portfolio. Oh, and Ms. Martinez? Forbes would like to confirm a few details for next week's cover story. She handed the magazine mock-up to Diego, who had been the loudest in mocking my little computer shop. The cover showed me in my office, the city skyline behind me with the headline, Sofia Martinez, the billion-dollar code queen revolutionizing AI. This is... He stared at the cover, his hands shaking slightly. This can't be real. Oh, it's very real, Claire said, pulling out more documents. As real as Ms. Martinez's current net worth of $4 billion. As real as Nova's market capitalization of $20 billion. As real as the artificial intelligence systems that are now powering most of your family's businesses, though you didn't know that until now. Victoria grabbed the magazine from Diego's hands. You're the Sofia Martinez everyone's been talking about? The one they call the next Steve Jobs. I took a sip of my water, enjoying the way their world was shifting on its axis. The same, I said quietly. Though I prefer to think of myself as the first Sofia Martinez. Uncle Roberto had gone pale, probably remembering all the times he'd dismissed my ideas, mocked my ambitions, told me I was wasting my potential on computer games. But you never said anything, my mother whispered. All these years when they were bragging about their businesses. I didn't need to brag, I replied. I was too busy building something that would speak for itself. Claire cleared her throat. Ms. Martinez, we should discuss the press release for the Tech Global acquisition. And the CNBC interview is scheduled for tomorrow morning. I nodded, standing up. Of course. I think we're done here anyway. As I walked toward the door, I turned back to face my family, all of them frozen in various states of shock and disbelief. Oh, and Diego? I said softly. About that real business you mentioned? You might want to check who actually owns the property your dealerships are leasing. Nova's real estate division has some interesting plans for those locations. The look on his face was priceless as the implications sank in. Now if you'll excuse me, I smiled, I have an empire to run. The next morning I sat in my real office, the one that occupied the entire top floor of Nova Tower, watching the sun rise over the city. Multiple screens displayed news coverage of the Tech Global acquisition, my company's soaring stock price, and dozens of emails from suddenly attentive family members. Your cousin Miguel has called 6 times, Claire reported, entering with my morning coffee. Victoria sent 15 emails and your Uncle Roberto is in the lobby. I smiled, opening my laptop to check the latest market reactions. How long has he been waiting? 2 hours. He brought a portfolio of investment opportunities. Of course he had. The same uncle who'd told me I was wasting my time with technology now wanted to pitch me business ideas. The irony wasn't lost on me. Any word from Diego? I asked, though I already knew the answer. He's been trying to contact our real estate division all morning. Apparently he's concerned about those dealership leases. I nodded, pulling up the property contracts on my screen. Nova's real estate arm had acquired those locations through a series of shell companies, all part of my long-term strategy. Diego had no idea that every time he'd bragged about his expansion plans, he'd been telegraphing his moves to his biggest competitor. Ms. Martinez, my secretary's voice came through the intercom. Your mother is here. I took a deep breath. This was the conversation I'd been expecting and dreading since last night's revelation. Send her in. My mother entered hesitantly, looking almost lost among the floor-to-ceiling windows and modern art pieces. Her eyes widened as she took in the view, the technology, the obvious signs of success she'd never known about. "Sophia," she said softly, "this is incredible." "Have a seat, Mom." I gestured to one of the designer chairs facing my desk. "I assume you have questions." She sat down, clutching her purse like a lifeline. "Why didn't you tell us? All these years while everyone was mocking me?" I finished for her. "While they were calling my company a hobby. While Uncle Roberto was offering me entry-level IT jobs." "We didn't know," she whispered. "You didn't want to know," I corrected her. No one in this family wanted to look past their own assumptions long enough to see what I was building. I stood up and walked to the window wall, where multiple screens displayed real-time data from Nova's global operations. "Do you see that building there?" I pointed to Uncle Roberto's manufacturing company headquarters. "I bought it last month. Through a holding company, of course. Your brother's been paying rent to his failing niece without even knowing it." My mother gasped. "Roberto's building? But that's been in the family for..." "Nothing stays in the family if you don't adapt," I said, turning back to face her. "His company is 3/4 automated now, running on Nova's AI systems. He just doesn't know it yet." "And Miguel's dealerships?" "Victoria's real estate company." I smiled, pulling up more data on my screens. "Victoria's market analysis comes from our AI algorithms. Every major property she's bought in the last 2 years was identified by my software first." "And Miguel?" I laughed softly. "Let's just say his expansion plans might need some revision." "Sophia," my mother's voice trembled slightly, "what are you going to do?" I sat back down at my desk. "I'm going to continue building my empire. The only difference is now you all know who owns it." My phone buzzed, a message from Claire. "CNBC crew is setting up in the conference room." "Now if you'll excuse me," I stood up again. "I have a live interview to prepare for." "Wait," my mother called as I reached the door. "The family, they're all talking about last night. About how successful you've become. They want to reconnect." I turned back, raising an eyebrow. "Reconnect? You mean now that I'm worth billions, suddenly I'm worth knowing?" "It's not like that," she protested weakly, but we both knew it was exactly like that. "Tell them they can call my office," I said. "My assistant handles all my meetings, including family matters." The CNBC interview went viral within hours. The headline, "Tech Billionaire Sofia Martinez Reveals Nova's Latest Acquisition," sparked a new wave of interest in my story. Business magazines that had been chasing interviews for months now had an added angle. The secret billionaire who'd built an empire while her family underestimated her. By afternoon, the lobby of Nova Tower was filled with reporters, and my phone was exploding with messages from family members I hadn't heard from in years. "Your cousin Anna posted about you on LinkedIn," Claire reported, scrolling through her tablet. "Apparently she's always believed in your vision." "Anna." I laughed. "The same Anna who said I was afraid of real work when I started Nova?" "The same." "Oh, and Diego's wife just posted a throwback photo of you two from high school. So proud of my brilliant cousin-in-law." I shook my head, remembering how Diego's wife had once told me I should get a real job instead of playing with computers. "Ms. Martinez?" My secretary's voice came through again. "Mr. Roberto is still in the lobby. He's insisting it's about an urgent business opportunity." I checked the markets again. Nova's stock had jumped another 10% since the CNBC interview. The tech global acquisition was being hailed as the deal of the year. And my net worth had just crossed the $5 billion mark. "Tell him," I said slowly, "that Nova's investment committee meets next quarter. He can submit his proposal through the proper channels." "Like everyone else?" Claire smiled. "Exactly like everyone else." The next few days were a blur of press coverage, market analysis, and endless attempts by my family to rewrite history. Victoria sent a lengthy email about how she'd always admired my entrepreneurial spirit. Miguel tried to schedule a casual lunch to discuss synergy opportunities. Even Diego, once he realized I actually owned his dealership properties, attempted to position himself as my biggest supporter. 1 week after the reunion, I called a board meeting to discuss Nova's next phase of expansion. The conference room overlooked the city, offering a clear view of all the buildings and businesses I now controlled, including many owned by my family. The tech global integration is proceeding ahead of schedule, my CFO reported. And our AI division has identified several potential acquisition targets. I nodded, pulling up a familiar document on my tablet. Including this one? The board members leaned forward to look at the projection screen. There it was, Uncle Roberto's manufacturing company, highlighted as a potential takeover target. Their technology is outdated, my head of strategy noted. But their market position and client base could be valuable with proper modernization. And the current ownership? Someone asked. I smiled, thinking of all the family dinners where Uncle Roberto had lectured me about real business. The current ownership, I said quietly, won't be an issue. That evening I stayed late in my office watching the city lights come on one by one. My phone had finally stopped buzzing with family messages, probably because I'd had Claire block their numbers. A notification popped up on my screen. The latest Forbes article had just gone live. Sofia Martinez, the secret billionaire who built an empire while her family wasn't looking. I clicked on the article, scrolling to a quote that caught my eye. Success isn't about proving others wrong, I had told the interviewer. It's about proving yourself right. Sometimes the people closest to you are the last to see your potential. But that doesn't make it any less real. Another message from Claire. Your cousin Victoria is trying to schedule a meeting through our investor relations department. Apparently she has some amazing opportunities to discuss. I closed the Forbes article and pulled up Nova's acquisition strategy instead. There, highlighted in red, was Victoria's real estate company, another potential target. Tell investor relations to send her our standard response, I replied. All proposals must be submitted through proper channels. And the family reunion next month? Claire asked. They've changed the venue to accommodate press coverage. I laughed. Of course they had. The family that had spent years dismissing my work now wanted to capitalize on my success. Send them my regrets, I said. I'll be too busy running my little online shop. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the empire I'd built while they weren't watching. The Nova Tower logo glowed against the night sky, a beacon of everything they said I couldn't achieve. Sometimes success is the best revenge. Sometimes proving yourself right means letting others discover just how wrong they were. And sometimes the little online shop they mocked becomes the empire they desperately want to be part of. But by then it's too late. I picked up my phone and typed out a message to the family group chat, my first and last response to their flood of congratulations and connection attempts. Thank you for underestimating me. It made success so much sweeter. For any business inquiries, please contact Nova Technologies Investor Relations Department. For family matters, well, I'm too busy running my little computer shop to attend any more reunions. Then I turned off my phone, sat back in my chair and enjoyed the view from the top of my tower, the one they never thought I could build. Sometimes the smallest businesses become the biggest empires. You just have to believe in yourself when no one else will.